Oh my god, I hope when I edit the video I can make it like straighter because I don't think it's like the straightest. It's Traci Chen and today is Yuan Xiaojie. I am in Australia though and I'm celebrating alone today. My mom and my parents, so my mom and dad are in another state. They live in Adelaide and my partner's at work today and I wanted to eat Tang Yuan, which is traditional Chinese dish, and you know, it never tastes as good store-bought. So you would have seen in my previous video, I made them. Yes, I did. I did this. So anyway, let's try this first. I haven't had breakfast or lunch yet, so I just heated up some old rice, some kimchi, which I love, and a fried egg. Just like I like it. I could eat this like every day. So let's talk about everything that's been happening in migration over the last week. It has been huge. A lot of things have been going on. So let's see. Let's try this first. Oh, okay. No, so this is a black sesame one. Looks good though. So this is my black sesame one. It looks good. Okay, let's try it. It is super chewy. Okay, it's really good. I'm actually super proud of myself. I gotta try the red bean one. I'm actually not a big fan of red bean. I much prefer black sesame, but I had this like leftover pre-made red bean in there, so okay. What am I doing? Should have showed you guys what it looks like. You know what? I'm actually really happy with myself. Okay, so crazy times again in migration. We have just had so many grants recently. So here we go. So just get some kimchi because I love kimchi. You like this. Okay, let's try this first before you get stuck into talking. Wow. That is so good. Super proud of myself with this one. And then some fried egg. Oh, okay, let's put that in. Oh my god, yum. You guys gotta see this. Egg. Oh, gosh. So many crazy things have been happening. And you know how there was an article recently about the government hiring more staff and then clearing out the 2 million, you know, millions of backlogs of visas that haven't been granted yet. I really felt it because I feel like visas are granted so much quicker than before. Remember during COVID when we just didn't know what was going on? It's kind of like that. It's just like the complete opposite now. So I can't believe it, like it's crazy. I have to show you guys the recipe for this video. So we had visas that were lodged in December, early January. Like I'm talking permanent residency visas, so 189 and 190, and they were all granted. Now, were there priority occupations? Look, yes. The registered nurses, you know, they always get granted pretty quickly. We did have some that, you know, you wouldn't consider priority list occupations, you know, like some software engineers, ICT business analysts, you know, those type of occupations. Everybody knows that education and healthcare occupations are definitely priority. But if you check, there's not really a priority list anymore. I think all occupations in Australia are right now a priority. So let's see. This is so good. I really have to do a recipe on this. I'll do it later. What do I eat first? I'm just like, what do I eat first? Do I eat the Tang Yuan or do I eat this one first? I don't know. So it's early February right now. And everyone's probably thinking, okay, when's the next invitation round? We need to know when's the next invitation round. To be honest, based on like previous numbers and over the last few months, there should be one in February, although it's not guaranteed. But us as a team, like my firm, we're really gearing up for it. We're like, all right, guys, let's prepare. Let's, you know, increase our work capacity. Let's, you know, plan things properly so that we can brace ourselves for the invitation round in February. Now, it may not necessarily be a 189 invitation. situation. You know, in January, there were 2 invitation rounds for the 190 in Victoria, 2 invitation rounds for the 190 in New South Wales. And now that, you know, all the states are kind of like, oh yeah, you know, there's increased accessibility to the 189 visa program, I feel like they'll be inviting 491 or 190 more now, because they're like, okay, well, there's a huge cohort of people that qualify for the 189 visa and they can probably apply for that. So I'm not quite sure, but I do think that is how the states are all kind of feeling at the moment. But look, I'm super excited. I know that Australia needs skilled workers now. It is tough times, just hard to find people. Like even us as a law firm, it's pretty tough to find lawyers, agents, paralegals, legal assistants. So look, if you're a lawyer, migration lawyer or agent and you're watching this, send your resume through to me. If you are in Australia and you're trained in Australian migration, send it through. You never know. I feel like I want to move on to the Tang Yuan before that cools down too much, so let's go. Anyway, there is one type of visa that I've seen a lot of refusals for lately, and it's really quite scary, and that is the tourist visa. So tourist visas in Australia are really getting a lot of refusals at the moment, probably more than before. And of course, it is for a reason. There's a lot of people who came to Australia on a tourist visa and they just weren't genuine temporary entrants and they ended up staying on, whether they lodged a partner visa, a student visa, or even a protection visa. So that doesn't help the situation. But there's been a lot of tourist visa refusals lately. So anyone who's looking to apply for a tourist visa, just be very careful. Like I find tourist visas harder than other visas now because there's so much you have to prepare. And if you are lacking just one document or one requirement, they will refuse it. And a lot of the times that refusal is the same. It's the same as all the other ones. It's kind of like, you know, don't have a reason to return back to your home country, you know, things like that. So, you know, I'll tell you a story. Oh, seriously so good. I'm actually really proud of myself that it didn't crack. Anyway, let me tell you about a story. So I had a client who lodged a tourist visa to come to Australia. Now, when he came to Australia, he put in there that he had certain employment. So obviously when you apply for a tourist visa to Australia, a lot of people tell you that you need to show that you have employment because it's one of the reasons why you have a reason to return back home, right? So he put in there certain employment documents. That tourist visa was granted because, you know, hey, you know, you have a job to return back to, so you're probably gonna return back, so let's grant you this tourist visa. He came to Australia and he lodged a student visa. I don't know if that was planned or he came to Australia and decided that he really loved it and wanted to stay here in Australia. This tastes better than eating out, I swear. Anyway, when you lodge the student visa, obviously you supply more documents. So you know how you're a student and, you know, there's lots of different things. So when you apply for a student visa, you have to say that you're a genuine temporary entrant. They don't like to see too much gap in your study. So if you're someone who's done a bachelor degree and then you do a master degree, there shouldn't be too much gap because, I don't know, to them, it kind of shows you're a genuine student if you go from a bachelor straight to a master's. Even though it's very normal for people to study a bachelor, then move on to a master's, you know, years later once they decide. Anyway, so he put those documents in. He left out his employment. Basically that period that he said he had employment overseas when he lodged a tourist visa, it didn't put that in the student visa because that defeats the purpose, right? A tourist visa and a student visa is 2 different requirements. So whoever prepared it, whether he did it himself, he forgot that piece of evidence. And instead, during that time where in the original tourist visa, let's just say it was 2018 to 2019, he had a block of employment. He submitted in the tourist visa that he had a block of employment, but in the student visa, he said he studied something or was studying or something at the time. So obviously these 2 stories don't match up. I mean, first of all, whether you did it yourself or not, you should know that that's what happened. No one's gonna know. Even if you use the same agent or a different lawyer, you do have to make sure that everything aligns. Because at the end of the day, especially if you used a different agent or lawyer, they're not gonna know what you used in your past history. I mean, for us, we always check the previous visa and we always check what was actually written in there. We always pull it. When some people are like, oh, why do you need that for? You know, why do you need all the information for? This is why. Because a lot of the times we understand you may not have submitted the application yourself. And sometimes sometimes, in Australia, migration agents and lawyers are heavily regulated. However, overseas, if you provide Australian migration advice and you are sitting overseas, there's nothing Australia can do about it. So a lot of people say, oh, okay, I'll get you this visa. I will just do what it takes. And it's all good when you get the visa granted. But the issue comes where you have to lodge another visa and your story doesn't add up. So that's what happened. Obviously, the department conducted their checks with the previous visa. Of course, they're going to look at the previous visa, right? Of course. Looked at the previous visa, big red flag. What happened? They refused the student visa. Obviously, client came to us, and then obviously he wants to appeal the decision, because if you get a visa refusal when you're here in Australia, you have review rights. So you have to appeal the decision. Whatever your story or argument is, you hope that at the AAT, you can have it remitted back to the department. The department made an error, or it was unfair, or whatever. But it's really hard in this situation, because how do you go back? Like, when I'm looking at this, look, the client said, hey, it was my previous agent overseas that did this. I had no idea, all of that. Unfortunately, whoever you choose to represent you represents you. And that person is basically acting on your behalf and acting as you. So you can't really blame it on someone else. So whenever that happens, which happens a lot, people are like, okay, my previous agent did this, blah, blah, blah. You can't. Because if you've authorized them to do it, then it's going to be pretty tough. Then the department take it as it is. That person acting on your behalf, which is as good as you, applying and doing all that yourself. Tough gig. And so when you have that kind of story and you go to another lawyer or agent to handle this matter at the tribunal, what are they supposed to do? You can't go and tell another story. You can't say the old story doesn't work. You can't blame the old story on the other person. It's a really tough one. And so in this situation, you can appeal it and you can stay in Australia and study and blah, 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 and look at all different alternative pathways. But in this case, they'll actually refuse on the grounds of the PIC 4020. So providing bogus and false documentation, which means there's a 3-year ban from applying for another visa in Australia. So I won't get into the nitty gritty of it, but I just want to say, when you are doing these things, it's so important to have your story straight. Whether you apply for it, someone else help you apply for it. Something that I hear a lot is people who say, oh, my friend helped me apply. Yeah, it's all well and good. But when something does go wrong, the department won't accept that someone else was responsible for it. And you're not responsible, therefore they should give you another chance to tell your story straight this time. So I cannot stress how important it is. And so this whole PIC 4020 is kind of a big deal, and it's really serious. When it's bogus and false documentation, it's like a 3-year ban. Sometimes when there's identity or more, it's like 10 years or even a lifetime ban. So big deal, gotta be careful. It's so good. I am so satisfied now. I haven't eaten. I was mucking around doing the Tang Yuan for like hours. This is why I don't cook too much, but obviously I'm doing it for, reels and stuff like that. So good. Okay. Super happy with that result. How cute is this little bowl? So if you are on your journey to submitting visas in Australia, whether it's from a tourist visa to a student visa to a permanent visa, there's nothing wrong with doing it if you're doing it all honestly. So one of the requirements of the tourist visa is that if you come to Australia, you're here genuinely and you're going to return back. But if you come to Australia and you love it, you change your mind and you're kind of like, oh my God, I love this place, I want to stay here. It's completely lawful to lodge another visa here in Australia as long as you can. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But when there's stories that doesn't add up, that's when you have to be really careful. So I'm actually quite full. I think I might just have one more. I'm so full. I don't think I need to eat dinner anymore. So good. Okay. And this was quite low in sugar. I know how much sugar I put in. Out of the whole sesame, stuffing that I made, I put like 15 grams of sugar and a bit of honey. So yeah, it's not too bad, And xiaojie. I love black sesame. I remember when I was young, my mum would love eating this. She'd eat it and then she'd look at me and smile, and the whole teeth was black sesame. That's traumatized me for me. So I won't smile in case I have black sesame too. Maybe I can try and make them a bit smaller. I like big juicy Tang Yuan though. So it's called Tang Yuan. Really good. I'm so happy with myself. I really like drinking this water too. Again, I'm not gonna smile because I don't want to have like a full teeth of black sesame. Anyway, with this water, it's just like, from the glutinous and stuff like that. So it's got a really nice flavor. It's kind of when we cook dumplings and you have that really nice flavor as well. So good. I don't think I'm making my teeth. Anyways, so back to what I was saying, if you're on this journey again, guys, just go back and check your previous visa applications and what you've written in there. Make sure the story always adds up, okay? Just make sure. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you guys like my video, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want me to talk about any stories or anything that happened or any scenarios, drop it in the comments below. I've got tons of stories. I've seen a lot. I wouldn't say I've seen it all, but I've seen a lot. Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you guys in the next video.